Hey yo, welcome to Parker's Reef. On today's episode, I'm going to give you an update on the fish in my dream reef tank. Alright guys, thank you for joining me on yet another episode of Parker's Reefs. Now today I thought I would do a little bit of a different update on my own dream reef tank. Normally I give you an update on the entirety of this tank, from the livestock to the equipment to parameters and different methodologies and things I'm trying on it, where today I primarily want to focus on the fish in this system, because if you have a think back a few weeks ago to when I gave you the latest update on this system where we went over everything, I did have grave concerns for one fish. I did have some question marks over some other fish, and since then I've got some even more question marks over some other fish. So I figured today would be a great opportunity to give a good update on all things fish in the Dream Reef tank. So first and foremost, probably a little bit of the clickbait of the thumbnail of this video, is my gem tang. On the last tank update, I had some really big concerns on the well-being of my gem tang Onyx, which is, as you can see, still swimming here front and center in the tank. He had this huge cut on the bottom of his stomach that really did not look good, and I was really very pessimistic on his survival in this tank, which then had a ripple effect. I was thinking, if I lose the gem tang out of this tank, one, they're a very beautiful fish, and Onyx is an absolute member of our family, a really peaceful and beautiful fish in this tank. Doesn't bother with anyone. He's quite low in the pecking order. He doesn't try to flex his muscle at all, just a very peaceful, gentle fish. So one, we didn't want to lose him because, well, we love him. Two, they're incredibly expensive. I actually got him at a reasonable price through a combination of my local fish shop and also Williamstown Aquarium here in Melbourne. But three, I don't think, even if money was no object and I didn't have any emotional attachment to the fish, I don't think it was going to be possible just to buy another one and plop him in, because we all know what tangs are like, and their hierarchies are more complicated than some of the mobsters or mafias out there. And once you've got things to a point where there's not a huge amount of argy-bargy, particularly with some large aggressive tangs in the system, you really don't want to rock the boat. And I was fearful that if I lost Onyx, I would not be able to add another one in. And even if I did try to add another one in, that could just create even more problems and maybe lose even more tangs. So I did have a little bit of fortune, and I did stumble across this product here, Easy Life Voogle, which I will say I actually got for nothing the first time around. The Australian distributor, Aqua Premium, Chris Talbot's an absolute champion of a bloke, and when I bumped into him up at the pet show in Sydney, he gave me a bottle and said, "Hey Sam, give this a try, I think you'll love it." And to be fair, I wasn't like, I didn't know about the product, I hadn't ever heard of it before, but just because I think Chris is an awesome bloke, I was like, thanks Chris, I really appreciate it, I'll take this home with me. So I brought it home with me in my luggage, and I kind of sat it on the shelf, and I didn't think much more about it, if I'm being honest. Now, once Onyx did get that pretty nasty cut on his stomach, I did start having a look around as to what I should do. And if you can recall, he was still eating quite well. He was not getting bullying, he was not hiding, he was not breathing erratically or anything like that. No one was hassling him. So I had a little bit of hope that he would be fine, but on the same hand, the size of the laceration on his stomach, I was quite concerned around infection, or even just the time it would take to heal. And if you've ever seen fish when they get a little bit injured or a little bit ill, they do tend to, all the others tend to rip into them pretty quickly. So I was quite concerned, and then that light bulb moment went, and I remembered that I had this Easy Life Voogle, and to be fair, all I had really done when I got it from Chris from Aqua Premium was have a quick read on the front of the label here. And basically it's an immunity booster which helps heal fish. And it is 100% reef safe. The thing that blows my mind a little bit is it's freshwater and marine, which normally tells me that it's not effective at either, but we'll get into it. And as you can tell, Onyx is still swimming. No antibiotics, no need to turn off skimmers, UVs. You should turn your carbon offline. No need to do a massive water change when the products or the program's finished. It sounded a little bit too good to be true. Now, Another complication was I had a 1 litre bottle, same size as this here, which does retail here in Australia for about $65 to $70 Australian. And a litre sounds like a lot of product, but I will say that the dosage instructions here in the back say that dosage for sick fish is 10 millilitres per 40 litres of aquarium volume. And if you've got very sick fish, to do 10 millilitres per 20 litres of aquarium volume. Now, I only had 1 litre, and I will say that that dosage is per day for 5 days. So when I worked that out, I was not going to have enough product, and I was still fairly skeptical at that point. So I made the decision to split the 1 litre dosage up into 5 200ml dosages, which was about a half dose on the lower strength for my tank, but I figured it would be a good way to dip my toe in the water. Now, as I've touched on, and as we can allude to by the fact that Onyx is swimming around in this tank, the results were ridiculously good. Within probably the first or second day, I could see that the cut or the laceration had definitely got a little bit better. By the second or third day, it was 50 to 60% better. By the third, fourth day, it was 85% better. And by day 5, it was completely healed. Now, can I put that down entirely to the Easy Life Vogel? Absolutely not. This was no scientific experiment. I underdosed this product. My fish could have healed completely fine on his own, but for those of you who saw that update, and I'll be sure to get some footage for you on screen, the cut was huge. It really looked like my Atlantic Blue Tang had ripped him apart from his mouth to his rear end. And to see him heal that quickly with absolutely no ill effect on the rest of my fish, my corals, whether it be LPS, SBS, my inverts, no other water chemistry changes, no other drastic measures of taking the skimmer cup off or any of this business, just turn the carbon off, which to be honest, I wasn't even running carbon at that point in time. Just to dose 200ml a day into my tank, have my incredibly important family member in my gem tank heal up was a revelation for me. So as a result, I've now encouraged my local fish shop to carry this product, and Dave at Deer Park Aquarium now has this in a few different sizes, plus some of their other brands. They've got a cyano remover and some other things that I have not even remotely looked into yet. But once I saw the work it did on my gem tank, I encouraged my local fish shop to get this on the shelf because, well, selfishly, I wanted to buy another bottle. I want to have this just sitting here, ready to go. I'll show you how to go about dosing it. Super, super easy. You give it a good shake. You tip the amount you need into the display tank. That's it. Do it each day for 5 days, and hopefully whatever sort of illness you're seeing on your fish will be remedied. Now, obviously, it's not a silver bullet. It's not going to heal everything under the sun, and I can only talk about my experiences with my gem tang, but for the price alone and the trauma of losing the gem tang, there's no way known I would not carry a bottle of this on my shelf in my fish room cupboard anymore. Easy Life Vogel, thank you very much for saving my gem. All right, now that we've got past the main ticket item, there are still quite a few updates to talk about with my fish. And you may recall from the last update, I had mentioned that I had started to question the Australian stripey in my system because I did have a few hammers recede a bit and a few heads die off. And we do know that whilst Australian stripeys are very good at aptasia removal, that at some point in time, there's a very, very good chance they will eventually move on to corals. And when I saw my hammer guarding starting to recede, I was pretty quick to blame that Australian stripey, and like I said, probably for pretty good reason. I had seen him sniffing about those corals, so being as food orientated as they are, I managed to catch him about 10 seconds flat. I literally sprinkled some pellets in the tank, swiped him up with a net, and moved him off into my frag tank where there was already another Australian stripey. There was no argy-bargy between them at all. Two of them sort of swam to each other, flared a little bit, and then they followed each other around after then. Now, ironically, in the weeks to follow, I didn't really see any reduction in the receding to my hammers. And then I did sort of start to notice a couple of other fish, primarily Prius, my hybrid angel, which is known to nipper corals. Dwarf angels, they do it, and there's absolutely no guarantee they're reef safe. But the difference being, Prius is my showpiece fish. He's actually gone missing right now, but I'll be sure to put some footage on screen for you. He's probably out the back eating some coral right now. I'll put some, oh, there he is, hanging around that hammer garden, and also the goni that's a little receded. I'll put some footage on screen for you now so you can see how beautiful a fish of he is, and you'll quickly see that that's the sort of fish that I'm not going to take out and put into my frag tank. Prius gets a little bit more leash than every other fish in this tank. If he does nibble on some coral, I'll turn a little bit of a blind eye. So I think Prius may be the issue. He's not coming out. I'm just going to have to live with that and hope that I can keep the hammers growing quicker than he can eat at them. I do find with dwarf angels, they do tend to go through a little bit of a flavor of the month. He might be nipping away at my Dustin's cousin for a month. Then he might move on to the Goni down here, and then like he is now, move on to my hammers. Now, hopefully the hammers can ride through this. Thankfully, apart from the gold one, which has receded a little down the bottom, most of the hammers he's picked on are the ones that I wasn't a massive fan of anyway. So there's a couple in there that I need to remove out. They've only got the final dregs hanging on, and not that I ever want to lose coral, but thankfully they weren't any super premium ones. So I'll get those out and put some new aquacultured, or not even aquacultured, spawned in captivity hammers I'll get in there, which are a really cool future of the hobby, which I have done a video on from Interfish guys up in Queensland doing incredible work. I'm going to put a couple of those in there because I just like being able to tell people that these corals were spawned and grown from little microscopic pieces inland. That'll fill out the holes in my hammer garden, but a little bit of a side effect following the removal of my Australian stripey. I must admit, I had come to the conclusion that he'd stopped eating aptasia because there was a couple of little aptasias around the tank, and the Australian stripey went in about the size of a 5 or 10 cent coin, and now he was, you know, about the size of my gem Tang, and they do tend to get a little less interested in aptasia when they get bigger and older. However, in the couple of weeks of him being out of the tank over into the frag tank in the fish room, I had noticed a huge explosion of aptasia through this tank. I went from having a couple here and there to quite a lot of them everywhere. So I was on the plan to add another little baby stripey back into the tank, but I figured the one that was originally in my frag tank, he was a little bit smaller, I'd give him a chance. Likewise, super easy to catch, sprinkled a couple of pellets, scooped him up straight away, popped him into this system, and I actually helped him along. Here he is here. He's only been in the tank now for a couple of days, but I actually helped him along a little bit by treating a couple of aptasia with some Red Sea Aptasia X. Now, I know there's lots of theories out there of how effective that is, but what I do find it's super effective of doing is showing your Australian stripey and even things like my filefish how delicious these aptasia are. So I treated a couple of aptasias with that, and bang, the Australian stripey, the filefish, and also, funnily enough, my Ollie, my little fox face there. In fact, he's gone back into the honey pot of aptasia right now. All three of those fish straight over the aptasia, ripping them apart, which is really cool to see. So that was only 2 days ago, and I've already seen the aptasia reduce back to about where they were when the existing Australian stripey was in there. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a good story or a bad story. My hammers have not been fixed at the removal of the Australian stripey, and they won't be fixed because I'm not going to take that hybrid dwarf angel out. He's my favourite fish and the showpiece of this tank. However, the good news was I was able to add an Australian stripey back in and get those aptasias under control again. So I don't know. I guess it probably balanced out as a par score overall. Now, next up on the big ticket items with my fish is, wherever he's gone now, my Atlantic Blue Tang. Now, this is a fish, here he comes here, that has long been the dominant fish in this tank. Atlantic Blue is often known to be a fairly aggressive tang, and he's a big boy. He's a big fish. And he has absolutely been the dominant fish in this tank over the last 3 years. However, some may have noticed in the last video that he had been getting a little bit skinny. Now, to be fair, he's actually been getting skinny over about the last 3 months and has been losing a little bit of the color that he used to have. He used to be quite a vibrant blue. He's been getting pale, a little bit more pale each day, and he's absolutely been getting a little bit skinnier. Now, over the last, here he is here, over the last 2-3 weeks, I would say, he's actually been doing some strange behavior, which he's almost doing on screen right now, where he actually offers himself up. He swims over, normally right in front of these hammers, tilts himself over on the side and basically offers to the purple tang, which would be number 2 in charge in this tank, to bite him. I have absolutely no idea what's going on there, but it took the purple tang probably a week to catch the idea, and now he does willingly go down around that scalpel just near the section of his tail there and does bite him. It almost looks like the Atlantic blue tang is inviting him to pull the scalpel off, and maybe he is. I'm no fish expert. I don't profess to be. I don't really know what's going on, but that Atlantic blue tang is definitely going through something strange. I don't know if it's old age. I know I've had him for a few years, and Brendan and Nicole that I bought him off had him in their big system for a number of years as well, and I'm under the impression they bought him as a huge fish already. So could well be that he's just nearing the end of his lifespan, and he's trying to pass the baton on to the purple tang to be the next dominant fish. Or it could well be that he's got some sort of issue in trying to shed his scalpel, and he's asking his 2IC to rip it off for him, and they're sort of halfway there. It's kind of half hanging off. It's quite strange. He does end up with some sort of bite marks around that scalpel, and even some of his fins are getting a little bit tattered. Within a day or two, they heal up, but then he invites the purple tang to bite it again. In fact, I've seen him invite the gem tang. I've seen him invite, he definitely will not invite the the mustard tang, the Australian mustard tang. He's never liked him, so he will not invite him to bite him. But even a newer fish in the fox face, he offers himself up. Even the chromis offers himself up for them to come in and bite him, which the only fish I've seen willing to take that responsibility is the purple tang. But I really don't know what's going on there. I don't think he has an illness. I suspect he's just getting old. Why the behavior, I've got no idea, but I would love to hear your thoughts. I've tried to capture some of the activity on camera, but you can see he hangs out around the purple tang here quite a lot, but I just can't quite capture it. As soon as they do the action and I put the camera there, they split ways. The purple tang's very timid with the operation. He knows, it's almost like when you see the cleaner shrimp climb inside the mouth of an eel to clean their teeth. There's this very high trust in the relationship, and any little sort of flinch, the two of them split directions very quickly. And it's exactly the same with the purple tang and the Atlantic blue tang. So haven't quite been able to get it on footage for you, but I can sort of show the Atlantic blue offering himself up, which I'll pop on screen now. And yeah, I'd really appreciate your take as to what's going on there. I'm not sure if the Atlantic blue tang is on his last legs, which, I mean, is never great. You never want to lose a fish, but if he's lived a full life, you really can't ask for any more than that. And to be fair, he has been quite a dominant and aggressive fish. So what will happen if he does pass on? I am assuming my purple tang here will absolutely step up to the plate and become the new dominant guy. So I'm just hoping he doesn't try to flex any muscle on any of the fish, like my poor gem, who has just recovered. But time will tell. It could be time for me to add my Desjardins sailfin back in. I did have to remove him from this system way back when the Atlantic blue did decide he was going to kill him. So he's been living the last couple of years in my frag tank and is fully grown and fit and looking beautiful, and I'd love to add him back in the system. Haven't done so all this time because I knew the Atlantic blue would smash him again. So I don't know, I guess there's a slight silver lining to that cloud, but yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts as to what's going on with my Atlantic blue tang. I can't work it out. All the other fish in the system look fantastic. I will, by all means, I've got a new bottle of Vogel. I'm going to try it on the system. I don't think it's actually a disease or illness with the Atlantic blue, but because it's completely safe and effective, and because I'm completely blown away with how well it worked in my gem tang, I'm going to give this another course and see how we go. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think is going on with my Atlantic blue. All right, now apart from my gem tang, the hybrid angel, the removal and then addition of a Australian stripey, my poor old Atlantic blue, there are plenty of other super cool fish in this system, and probably none more so than my sand perch. It's a fish that I added a little bit unlike my normal routine of adding fish. I added him on a little bit of a whim, which I normally plan every detail. If you followed the build of this Dream Reef tank, you'll see every single detail has gone, has been shared with what I was going to do with this tank and when I was going to do it. So adding a fish on a whim was not like me, but my sand perch, which I'll put some footage on screen of now, we've affectionately named him Percy, and what a cool fish he is. Absolutely love the personality of him. I don't have any blennies in the system, so he kind of acts in the place of a blenny, and personality is off the charts. Probably the only downside I've seen to him is if I'm a little bit lax on cleaning my glass and the snails come up onto the front pane of glass, like I've got one right here, if I'm cleaning the glass and I accidentally knock that snail off, a snail the wrong way up on the sand is absolute cannon fodder for Percy. He comes and smashes those snails, but I've never seen him turn one over. So, I mean, I've got enough snails in this system and they breed, thankfully. So if he likes to have a little nibble on a snail now and then, absolutely worth it in my books for such a cool fish. Really do enjoy Percy in there. Another fish I get asked a lot about are my blue-green chromis. Now, I've got, I think, about a dozen, maybe a little bit more than a dozen, maybe 14, 16 in there. I don't lose chromis, and I don't exactly have the answer as to why, apart from the fact that I have a heap of them. I've had these blue-green chromis since I started this tank. In fact, I had them before I started this tank. Added them all in. As you can see, they're fully grown. They're a big size blue-green chromis, and I'm not going to tell you they are not aggressive. They are absolutely brutal. Every night at sort of sundown time for a good hour, hour and a half, they go berserk chasing each other and any other fish that crosses their way. You can actually hear them grunting. They sound like a triggerfish in the tank, despite being tiny little blue-green chromis. I don't know what it is, but I do not lose them. I've got enough numbers in there for them to spread it out. Probably enough dominant ones in there, so there's, you see a little bit of action over there. They are definitely not attacking each other, but somehow I managed to keep the numbers. On the other side of that scale, on my anthias, I have not had as much luck keeping population of anthias. I did initially start this system with some beautiful bicolor anthias, which I got to say are one of the prettiest looking, easy to care for anthias out there. And I think I added about 10 or 12 of those into the system. Fairly soon after I was reduced down to 1, 2 or 3. I've only got one of the bicolors now, and I'll see if I can spot where he is. He's hiding somewhere at the moment, but he's a beautiful anthea, and he definitely seems to hold his own, but at the price they are and the number I would want to add into the system, I looked for a cheaper alternative. So I actually went back to lyotale antheas, which I've had great success with before. I added, I think, about 10 or 12 of those in to complement that 1 or 2 bicolor antheas at the time. Unfortunately, I've been reduced down to, I think I've got about 3 or 4 of the lyotale antheas. Over that time, probably over the space of a year, year and a half, they reduced down. So recently I did add some Cooperi antheas, I think I'm pronouncing that right. And they have done well. I added, I think, a dozen of those at the time. I lost 1 on the first night, but the rest have seamlessly added in. So I'm currently running 3 different types of antheas in this system, just the 1 bicolor, 2 or 3 lyotales, and then I've got about 10 or 11 of the Cooperis in the system. I actually think I'd like to add some more Cooperis just to balance out the number of chromis, just because I've got a lot of chromis, and also they're a big size chromis. So quite a lot of big blue fish moving around. I'd like to add in some more of these little pinky red guys to mix that up. But otherwise, I think the antheas, whatever elixir I've got going on with the chromis, I just can't quite unlock that with the antheas. But fingers crossed the Cooperis are one that hold on for me. I will point out, one thing with the antheas, they do have a fairly fast metabolism rate, and I do only feed this tank once a day. So potentially I would have more success if I moved to twice feedings a day, or I hooked up a auto feeder just to keep the food to them. But I don't think it's food. Actually, there's my bicolor anthea now. I don't think it's a food issue. I think it's just an aggression issue. But yeah, maybe I shouldn't rule that out and could look to adding an auto feeder to get a bit more food into these antheas. All right, guys, there you have it. There are still some other fish in this system, but wanted to keep this video to the points of interest, and I had an absolutely overwhelming response from people asking me how my beautiful gem Tang has been doing since they saw that massive cut on his stomach. So thank you so much for being involved as much as you are in my tank. It is truly humbling to find out just how many people caring about the well-being of this tank, which yeah, it blows my mind, and I really do appreciate it, and it's what led to making this video today. Also want to give a massive shout out to all of my channel subscribers whose names will be on screen over here now. These guys pop a couple of dollars in each month to make these videos possible, and it really does go a long way, and does make it possible for me to keep things like Easy Life Vogel on the shelf. Whilst I did pick up that first bottle for free, I'm definitely going to keep a bottle of this on the shelf moving forward, and I'm super happy to see my local fish shop now carries it. Now, I don't really have anything else to say. If you do have any feedback as to what you think's going on with my Atlantic blue tang, or have any other questions whatsoever, please do pop in the comment section below, because I do personally read and respond to each and every comment there. It is by far the best way to get hold of me if you do have any questions, feedback, or suggestions. Other than that, guys, if you did enjoy the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing with that button in the bottom corner down there. It takes 2 seconds of your time, costs no money whatsoever, and it really does go a long way to making this channel possible, and helps, through the YouTube crazy algorithm that it is, promote this channel out to more reefers all around the world, which I really do appreciate. We're 27,000 members strong now, which is incredible. I'd love to see that keep growing up to 30, 40, 50,000. It'd be amazing. Anyway, guys, other than that, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to giving you more updates, maybe next time on the coral in this system. Let me know what you want to see. I'd love to do it for you. Cheers, guys. Till next time, stay safe and keep reefing. Bye.